Svitlana, I'm so happy to see you. It's been a while.
I'm happy to be back.
Yes, let us take a look at some of your smart moves because you have recently played a lot of smart moves.
Yeah, the game I'll show today comes from the Canadian Women's Close Championship, which took place 2 weeks ago in Toronto.
How did it
And
go for you?
well, I ended up in first place, so I'll be going to the Women's Continental next week
This
in
is
Cuba.
this is so exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to look at this. We will have a link in the article about the tournament below, so you have a bit more pressure to play really good. It's super strong players there. It's going to be really exciting, and I wish you all the best for this. So yeah, this is a little bit of a prep, and to cheer for Svitlana that she will have a good tournament if you want to in the YouTube comments.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And yeah,
So,
you played first place, and you brought us one of your nice wins.
yeah. It was not the usual scene of players. It was a bit strange that I was among the older ones. So,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
really
changing
crazy.
up. There's always more younger players, and now our national championships are also like that.
Mhm.
So I'll show one of my games in the Italian, and we'll stop at some key tactical moments, and it will allow you and the viewer to just test your own calculation.
Perfect. Yeah, you will see the game as always in the ChessBase news article as well. Just click on the link below the YouTube video. All right, so Italian. So you played an Italian game.
Yeah,
Interesting. Do you like
as
to play
black.
against, yeah, as black? Do you like to play against the Italian, or is you, if you go for it, you go like, oh well, okay, it's an Italian. Let's just go for it.
Mm-hmm. I like it. In my opinion, the Italian is one of the best openings to learn chess with because it's
Hmm.
one of the most logical setups and it allows to practice both positional and tactical skills. So I think it's the most logical opening out of all of them that I can think of
Yeah, it's
against D5.
sad to tell. I never went beyond this opening, so it's all I know as an opening.
That's fine. It has a lot of things to explore.
Hmm.
Um, and well, here I like to choose the move order with knight f6 so
Hmm.
that you attack the pawn right away and you get white to show you their intentions. That if they play d3, then they definitely want to play the slow Italian, the one without immediate d4.
Hmm.
So that's just a move order preference. It's not for everybody. Some people just start with bishop c5.
Hmm.
And this is what I mean, is that every single move is made with a purpose and that it's clear. And that's why I think it's one of the best openings to start with. And I think I started with it too, as
Yeah.
white. So C3 just prepares D4 at some point later. A6,
Uh-huh.
it prepares B5 and it prepares the bishop to retreat at some point.
Yeah, and this is a good move because I played against the Italian as black as well, and the bishop just went to b5 because it's very naturally happening, and that's caused me some trouble. So yeah, a6. This is what I learned later from Elisabeth Peetz, that a6 is actually pretty common.
Yeah, and I think the main reason is actually to retreat your own bishop, and it's
Also,
not
yeah.
even to prevent the opponent. But yeah, they still try to prevent you from playing b5, so a4 is very typical. And these positions sometimes get pretty symmetrical, but because the plans are super similar.
Hmm.
So here I play h6, and the reason why is because I'll ask you here whether you would rather castle or go for an attacking game with g5, and that was the whole plan of playing h6.
You don't have to ask me,
I don't have
Svitlana.
to
It's
ask.
absolutely crystal clear that I would go for g5 here, which I love to play in Italian as well. And I
Yeah.
like this idea. Yeah, at one point, this is why I also get the queen out quite early to castle queenside. Then I have the attack on the queenside. Yeah, but
Mhm.
often enough I can manage to fight against that. But yeah,
Yeah,
g5 I like.
g5 is the best move here, and you would only play it, so you prepare it with h6, and h6 is also against bishop g5, so
Hmm.
it's a normal move. And then I would say that without white having played h3, it's not really that good to start g5 right away because you're kind of exposing your king, and it still comes with its own costs. But if white has played h3, now is a perfect moment to go g5.
Mhm.
And the thing is, I knew that g5 was probably the best move, but I was not in the mood for it this time, so I just castled. I thought about it. I knew that g5 was probably best, but I started calculating and I said, not today.
Now let me ask you a quick question, because this is also interesting. So castling after all is also totally legit, I guess.
Yeah.
But was this a stronger opponent or a weaker from rating, or equal?
My opponent was 1900 FIDE.
1900. So did this play any role in your decision as well? Because I can imagine that against a weaker player, you would maybe play more positional, more solid, and make them make the mistakes.
It depends on, I guess, your own like strengths as a player, because there's some really good tactical players who just destroy lower rated opponents in tactics, and that works for them too. Since I was playing in a field with like a lot younger players, I was more in the mood to play more positional and not really go into anything too crazy.
That turned out very well, it seems. Yes, because yeah, as you said, young players, you were young too at one point. I think you're still young after all, but it's just my humble opinion. But yeah, if you face somebody who's 12, 13, 14, 15, or a little bit older, and they have a rating of 1900, then you often can say like, well, you can put a couple of hundred points on top of that, probably, perhaps.
Yeah. So I just decided to castle and just not go for anything too crazy. But that's just a good idea to know, and that I wanted to show. And now there's some plans to know about for both sides. I'm not sure if you know about what the main plans are, but since you play the Italian, probably will.
Yeah, so you have, there's a couple of ideas. You can get the bishop to e3. To swap, maybe exchange it, because the bishop on a7 is quite strong, and then you open the f file. But if the rook is already on e1, maybe it's not the best choice. You can do the exact same as black, which I also like to do quite often. The knight on b2 is the next piece we can think about, to either go to d2, then to f1, and then to maneuver over to g3, which gives a lot of power on the king side. Also, there's an option to go to a3 sometimes. With further options to either go to c4 at one point, or back to c2 and maneuver over to e3. And then, of course, you can push forward the d4 pawn, maybe activate the queen a little bit better. Yeah, there's so many options. Yeah.
Right. No, you're mentioning all of these good plans, and that's exactly what to do in the Italian. So so yeah, bishop, most of these plans work for both sides. And that's why in our game, her knight went to d2 and my knight went to e7. So they are both ended up coming to this square. And that's one of the most important plans of the Italian. That's really good to know, is that you're both trying to attack these squares, and the knight really belongs more there. And now I also play c6, so it's looking a bit more symmetrical.
True, yeah, what you mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, and that I'm also going for the central play with white will try to play d4 and I'll try to play d5. So I think that's pretty much, before starting to play the Italian, that's pretty much all you need to know, is where the knight goes and which moment to open up the center. And from then on, it's a lot of either exciting tactical chess or just positional chess, depending on what you choose. So the opponent, my opponent, retreated as well. So it's so it's really, really close.
Guess your opponent also doesn't mind a draw, maybe, like.
Yeah, but it's just starting. That's why it seems symmetrical, but that's only where it starts, right?
Yeah.
So from here on, it will get different. So I played d5 right away in the center to change it up a bit. And my question for you is, do you know if white can take this pawn on e5? Because looks like I sacrificed it.
Yeah, well, it also looks like it's definitely not going to end well. There's a lot of things which come to mind. For example, queen to f6. I'm not sure how quick or fast it can work. Maybe you should take the knight and then go with the queen to f6, because yeah, the rook can go back to e2. Maybe the queen can even go to h4.
There's even better is that you can take and then take right here.
Oh, yes, you're right. Of course.
That's just even more forcing.
Yeah, you swap the order of the moves. That is much better. True. Yeah, that's good. That's good for black.
So that's a very typical Italian tactic to know, that you can sometimes sacrifice this pawn for this bishop f2 idea. But instead, White probably knew this, and she played also in the center, which is the right way to play. Now, here, probably the best move is something like rook e8, and then you can have a lot of the trades, the rook trades, the bishop trades, and I didn't want to trade because I messed up in an end game, actually, in the morning round of that day. So I lost the previous round, and it was one of my worst losses in the last couple of years.
Oh no!
But the girl played well, and it was deserved. So I decided that this time I'm gonna focus on myself and start a new tournament and not make the same mistakes again. So I was not in the mood for another trade and another end game anytime soon. I see. So yeah, this game, as you can see, was more of an I was playing it more with emotions than rational thought in a lot of my decisions. But it also made for some really interesting tactics, which is why I chose this game as opposed to a game that was easier. So my knight played some weird maneuvers. It was not good. Sorry, it was not good maneuvers, but it ended up at least somewhere.
Yes. Okay, and, of course, yeah. Taking the knight on e6 wouldn't have been very good for white, because it opens up the line for the rook, and I think this is trouble for white. Right.
So the knight went here, and I was really, really hoping that my opponent would play something that I thought was pretty obvious. It was to take here, queen takes, and knight to d6. I thought that this was really tempting, and to attack my f7 pawn. I was really hoping for it. I'm not sure why my opponent didn't do it, but there's two really cool defenses, I think, against it, and you can try to find one of them.
Wait a second. Aha, okay, defenses. Now we're talking. I didn't even see the threat until you mentioned it.
Yeah, there's three pieces attacking on f7, so it's...
So how about going to e6 with the bishop? I like this a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the defenses. So the idea is that they can never really take this because the file opens up for the rook. Yeah. So that was one of the defenses, but probably my favorite is knight to h4, which is what I was going to play. I was calculating this, and the reason is you're sacrificing this pawn in return for initiative. And the thing is, this bishop is kind of stuck to f2. The knight is the only piece defending it, and you can do all sorts of crazy things. I was going to play bishop f5, which I thought was crazy, but bishop h3 is even better. And the idea is just that the pieces are tied, and that and that black has the initiative and will end up winning the material back in a couple of moves.
Wow.
But this would have been a very intuitive decision to make. I'm not sure I would have played bishop h3. I was more planning to do this and just have my rooks, have my bishop, and do something like this instead. But bishop h3 was really cool, and it's not something I've seen much before, where you just sacrifice the piece and
test for the initiative.
Yeah, so it would have been nice if this actually happened in the game. But instead, the opponent just played queen h5, which also makes sense. What is their idea?
Can you take on h6 with the knight? I guess so, yeah.
You can do even better.
Oh, you can even take on g7, right? No, my goodness, no. g6.
That's why I'm asking, is because so this bishop is really sneaky. Yeah.
Jeez.
That bishop is really sneaky, and queen g6 is a threat. So I noticed that I played queen f6, but there was still this opportunity to play this for my opponent, which we both saw, but I
Oh,
guess we miscalculated or misevaluated the rest. I thought it was fine
knight
for
d7, yeah.
black, but it was really not that good. This endgame, it was really not great. If I take back with the pawn, once again, just weird pawn structure, weird king. White is better, probably even winning,
Oof.
technically. And then if this, then white can even have some attacking chances with ideas like this. So
Oopsala.
it's not a mate yet, but it's not good.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So that's why this queen g6 would have been a pretty good endgame, and I would probably just have to struggle positionally. But instead, my opponent wanted something tactical, which actually ended up happening. So she played knight to e4 here after a long calculation. And the
My
last question for you is,
goodness.
how do you defend against all of this?
Okay, so the threat is, of course, if the queen takes on f5, the knight can take on g5, threatening checkmate. That
Mhm.
is not fun. But isn't it like, can't we not just take with the bishop on f5? And once the knight takes on g5, we just go to f4 with our knight?
There's a slight problem that our queen is hanging right now.
Ah, you're right. That is a
Yeah.
slight problem. Good, but then we just take with the queen on f5, and then we go to f4 with our knight. Oh,
So
goodness, it
the
isn't
thing here
good.
is that I'm really afraid for our f7.
Yeah, I am afraid now too. Oh my lord, that is complicated. Okay, I have to calculate. You two at home, of course. So,
Queen
what?
f5 is right. It's the only thing to
Okay, so
do.
then it has to be knight to oh no. Also not working. What's happening here? Oh, is it just a check on f2?
With
No,
what?
with the bishop.
No, it wouldn't be with the bishop.
Oh, with the queen, and then you go to h4. My goodness, that is. I'm not even sure if that is correct, but it looks like this is correct.
And that's probably what my opponent wanted to happen. And
I would have lost.
queen h4 is met with queen to g6,
Oh, good.
and it's not working.
No, it's not working at all.
Yeah, okay, you're not losing, well, material yet, but very soon
Yeah, absolutely.
on the next move.
So what
So
the heck?
we're almost there. There's
There's
just one
not
more move.
there's not many more moves. Yeah, I would say so too. No, but seriously, I cannot find it. That's a bit odd.
Once you see it, you'll
Yeah, I think I might be absolute. Oh, of course. Oh my god. Wow, this took a while. You at home got it? The queen takes on g2. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and then there
Wow.
is a fork, and that's the only defense against this
Wow.
94 move. So I guess queen
Spectacular.
g2 is just one of those moves that can slip your mind and just
Totally, of course, yeah.
not be in your calculation, which it was unfortunate that it happened to my opponent, but I gladly took the pawns, and this endgame is really good. So I have an extra piece now because of the 94 sacrifice. And it was just a winning game from here on. But I thought the opening part and the tactic at the end
This is
was a good one to
incredible.
solve,
Totally crazy, yeah.
and it ended up winning in a few moves.
Wow, that's almost checkmate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is checkmate in the next move.
So it was not a, you know, a perfect game from the middle game, because white could have just, you know, maintained initiative better, and
Sure.
could have probably done something a lot more tactical there. But the tactics were a bit unusual, so it was a good practice.
Spectacular, actually. No, it was really nice. And that, so how much time did you spend to think over this very move when it happened with the knight going to, what was it, F5?
Knight
F5?
e4.
E4, sorry, yeah.
Well, I saw it before knight e4 even happened. Like I was no, because knight e4 is something you have to calculate
Yeah, I see.
before.
I see. I see. I see.
So I was spending time to calculate like queen f6. Like at this point, that's what I was wondering, if queen f6 works because of that reason.
Okay, I see. I see. Oh,
And once she
wow.
started taking like 20 minutes on that move, I thought that she probably wants to do something crazy like that.
That is so cool. What a beautiful game. Thank you, Svitlana. So yeah, this is how you play, or these are some ideas on how to play against the Italian with black. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope, although I know how busy you are, and I know how much chess you're playing and all of this, but I still hope that we can have some more shows coming up soon.
And of course.
Bye, Svitlana.
Bye bye.